Good morning to all. In today's class, I will complete arrays. So last class we have discussed one-dimensional arrays. So how to write arrays in Java? In the exam, the question is like this: explain arrays in Java with example. So you have to explain first what are the different types of arrays. We have one-dimensional arrays, two-dimensional arrays, three-dimensional arrays, like that n-dimensional arrays. Again, arrays are of two types based on the data type. Okay, there are two types of arrays in Java. They are arrays of primitives and arrays of object references. These two are very, very important in Java. Whereas if you take C language, we have only one type, that is arrays of primitives. Because C language is not object-oriented programming language. It is structured-oriented programming language. In C language only we have primitive data types. There is no concept of non-primitive data types. But in Java language, we have two types of data types. They are primitive data types, non-primitive data types. That's why here there are two types of arrays based on the data type. Okay, there are arrays of primitives and arrays of non-primitives. Non-primitives is nothing but object references. So we can create an array for any one of the 8 primitive data types. We know there are only 8 primitive data types in Java. That's why array can be created for any one of the 8 primitive data types. And the other one is we can create array, okay, for a class, means objects. That's why this concept is nothing but arrays of object references. When you define the class, when you create the object for that class, we can use arrays. That concept is nothing but arrays of object references. So this is very, very important concept in Java. So when you take arrays of primitive data types, again here we have one-dimensional arrays, two-dimensional arrays, three-dimensional arrays, like that. So last class I explained one-dimensional arrays for arrays of primitives. So how do we define one-dimensional arrays? Means there are three concepts. First, how do we declare an array? How do we create an array? And how do we initialize the array? These three are very, very important with respect to arrays of primitives. Whether it is one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, and so on. So here, how do we identify whether it is one-dimensional array or two-dimensional array or three-dimensional array? Is based on the number of this set of square brackets. Here it is only one set of square brackets now. That's why it is called one-dimensional array. How do we declare array? Based on the primitive data type. Here in place of int, I can take any one of the 8 primitive data types. We have only 8 primitive data types. So this int can be replaced with byte or boolean or char or this float double, like that. We have 8 primitive data types now. So this is the declaration of array. When you declare the array, this is arrays are classes in Java now. Means A is called reference variable, not ordinary variable, because array is a predefined class in Java. That's why only inside the array, inside the object, array is stored. That's why A is called reference variable, which holds the address of the object. Inside that object we have the array. This is very, very important concept in Java. So array is an object, array is a class in Java. That's why whenever you create an array, inside the object only array is stored. You know, each and every object has unique address now. That address of that object is stored inside the variable A. That's why in arrays A is called reference variable, which holds the address of the object, and inside the object array is stored. But if you take C language, only array is stored like this now, and the base address of the array is stored in the variable A in C language. But in Java language, an object is created for storing this array, and the address of the object is stored in the variable A. That's why A is called reference variable. When you declare the variable or when you declare the array, so this is the syntax for array declaration. When you do like this, A is a reference variable now. which holds null, because it is not pointing to any object. That's why when you declare the array, the reference variable is holding null. Next, when you create the array, this is the array creation. See, if you see the right hand side, this is the array object. So this is the array object. That's why array object is created, and inside that an array is created with length 5 or size 5. And the length is an instance variable inside each array object, which will give you the length of the array. Here the length of the array is 5 or size of the array is 5. That's why with a dot length I can access this size of the array, which is 5. A dot length gives you 5. So this already explained in the last class, only I am revising once because arrays are very, very important in Java. So whenever you create an array, actual memory is created for the array object, and the address of that object is stored in the reference variable A. So this is the array creation. Here one more point to remember is, here even though the array is created, actual values are not stored, because we have not initialized the array. That's why all the 3 steps try to understand. Declaration means only reference variable is created like this. Memory is created for only reference variable which holds null. Next, when you create the array, the array object is created, and inside that actual array is created with size 5. But all the values of inside that array are default values which are assigned by the compiler. Because here we have created integer array, that's why the default value for integer is 0. That's why here in all the places we get zeros. Next, so with the array creation, only default values are stored inside the array, or the array elements are these are called array elements, and these are called indexes of the array. Okay, always array index starts from 0, like same C language only. Next, here actual values are not stored, no. That's why we have to initialize the array. Last class I explained there are different ways to initialize the array. I explained 4 ways. Try to practice all these 4. These 4 are very, very important. So first one is direct initialization, for loop, command line arguments, and 5 ways, no, not 4. So there are 5 ways to initialize the array. Direct initialization for loop, command line arguments, buffer reader class, scanner class. Try to do number of programs or number of Java programs using buffer reader class and scanner class. Now you know how to take the input through keyboard, like scanf function in C language, no? So try to use these 2 classes for taking the input through keyboard or from the keyboard. So here, whatever C programs you have written, okay, in C language, same programs try to write with Java by using buffer reader class and scanner class. Because if you want to find out a factorial of a number, then how to write factorial of a number? You have to take one value through keyboard, no? You can find the factorial for 5, 6, 7 like that, no? Okay, if you initialize the value, if you execute that program 100 times also, you will get the same answer, because we have initialized the value. But don't initialize the value. So always take the value through keyboard for the program that is for factorial of a number. So how do we take the value through keyboard in Java is, either we can use buffer reader class or scanner class. Last class I explained. In buffer reader class we have next line which will read your value as string. That's why conversions are required. But in scanner class again separate methods are there. If you want to take int through keyboard, next int method is there. That's why conversions are not required if you use scanner class, but conversions are required if you use buffer reader class. Try to write number of programs. If you want to write the sum of 2 integers, okay, you have to take 2 integers through keyboard, no? Okay, for that program also you can use buffer reader and scanner classes. These 2 are very, very important. In Java there is no function like scanf like in C language. So these 2 classes are very, very important for reading or for taking the input through keyboard. Okay, now concentrate on these 2 classes. And here next line is the method. Here next int, next float, next double, like that the methods are there. Okay, and one more point is, here this method is, this class is there. This is a predefined class now. This class is there in IO package, whereas this class is there in util package. That's why whenever you want to use buffered reader class in your program, so always import java.io.star. That you have to rewrite that statement before writing your own class. So import java.io.star means all the predefined classes of IO package are imported to your program. Like that, whenever you want to use scanner class in your program, so use the statement import java.util.star, or you can write like this: import java.util.scanner. You can mention the class name itself. If you know the class, which class you want to use in your program, you can take the class directly. No need to take star. If you take star, all the classes and interfaces of that package are imported to your program. No, it is waste of time. That's why if you know which class you are using in your program, okay, then directly write import java.io.bufferedreader. That's it. Or import java.util.scanner. Okay, like that you can write. Already explained all these 5 concepts in the last class. Now we will see next concept is the command line arguments, buffered reader class, scanner class. All these concepts I explained in the last class. Please do in the lab. Then only you will get the concepts. See, this is buffered reader class. This is scanner class. First, we should know how do we create objects for buffered reader class and scanner class. After that, with that object only, we can access the members of that class. No? Next, this also I completed. How do we declare, create and initialize in one step? This is direct initialization. Here no need to mention the size, because based on the number of elements in this set, an array is created. So this is direct. All the 3 can be done in a single step. Next concept is anonymous arrays. Anonymous arrays means no name for the array. Previously, name is there for the array. No? What is the name of this array? How do we access the elements of this array? Is using this name A. This is the name of the array. But here anonymous arrays means there is no name for the array. But where we use anonymous array is when there is no name to the array is. So here syntax is new int square bracket, after that followed by write. This is there is no equal to, followed by inside this write your array elements. Next here I will explain only that. So in as method arguments we can use. Here the name of the class is test array. See here I am writing void name of the method is m1. Inside this I have taken this array. Okay, this is the parameter for this method m1. Now I have to send the array. No, okay, actual array I have to send send. Okay, so when you invoke this method, how I will send, I will explain. So inside the method I have created an object for a test array class, and with that, how do I access the method m1 of test array? You know, no, this is the method m1 method is available in test array class. So by creating object for a test array class, I can access this method m1. That's why inside the main method I have created test array class object, and after that with that object or with that reference variable I am accessing the method m1 of test array class. That's why t1.m1 of, see here the parameter is array. No? So while invoking this method, we have to send the actual value. That's why here I am sending the array. Means I am creating an array and I am sending this array to this A. Now this is called anonymous array. Here no name. No. So with this syntax, only object is created. Array object is created inside the memory, and inside that object an array is created with 4 elements. That is to store 4, 5, 6, 7. So only this object is created with address 100. But there is no name with this syntax. But when this is sent to this, okay, when this array is sent to this one, Now name is there for that array. Means this array is, means the address of this array object is assigned to this variable 100. Here I have taken A, no. That's why here it is called, this syntax is called anonymous array. Means no name to the array, but name is given when it is stored here. Means here with this syntax only array object is created and with address 100, and when you invoke that, okay, when you invoke this method with this syntax, then it will be given name, that is A. That is the address of this 100 is stored in A. So with this reference variable I can access the array elements. So this concept is nothing but anonymous arrays, and the syntax for anonymous arrays is this one, new int. Here no need to give the size. Why? Because here you know the number of elements, no? Based on the number of elements in this set, the compiler will assign the memory, okay, for 4 elements here. This is the anonymous array. So with this one-dimensional arrays is completed. If you understand one-dimensional arrays, I will explain two-dimensional and three-dimensional. So how do we write two-dimensional arrays in Java? Again, two-dimensional means 2 sets of square brackets. This is one set and this is another set. So with this we can say this is two-dimensional array. Okay, next, how do we declare? So I want to create a two-dimensional array for integer data type. That's why int 2 square brackets A and new int 3 2. So already you know in C language, no, two-dimensional array is nothing but an array of one-dimensional arrays. Already you know one-dimensional arrays. Already explained one-dimensional arrays in depth. Okay, now try to understand two-dimensional arrays. So a two-dimensional array is nothing but an array of one-dimensional arrays. Okay, so in two-dimensional array we will store one-dimensional arrays only. That's why when you take two-dimensional arrays, how do we mention the sizes? This is, I have taken 3 2. Means here we have here two-dimensional array is an array of one-dimensional arrays, no? So how many one-dimensional arrays are there in that two-dimensional array? That is 3. So we have 3 one-dimensional arrays, and each one-dimensional array is of size 2. This is the size of each one-dimensional array, and this number indicates how many one-dimensional arrays are there in your two-dimensional array. So again I am explaining this one. So when you take this number and this number, so this 3 indicates that we have 3 one-dimensional arrays, and each one-dimensional array is of length 2. This 2 indicates. So this is the declaration and creation. Next, again to initialize the array, again there are 5 types. Already you know 5 types, no? Okay, so use any one of the 5 types to initialize the array. So inside the memory, this is the array object, and the address of this object is 100, and 100 is stored in the reference variable A. So link is formed, and inside that array it is two-dimensional, no? Now that's why first one-dimensional array is created. Means it is two-dimensional array within, because the size, how many one-dimensional arrays we can store inside the two-dimensional array? 3, no? Now that's why here the size of this two-dimensional array is 3. That's why here 0 1 2. Next after that, so this is the size of each one-dimensional array, no? That's why here if you take the size of each one-dimensional array, this is 2, again this is 2, this is 2. So here we have 3 one-dimensional arrays, and the addresses of these 3 one-dimensional arrays are stored in these 3 places. That is the concept of two-dimensional array. So a two-dimensional array is nothing but an array of one-dimensional arrays. That's why here I have taken 3 one-dimensional arrays. This is 1 2 3. These are the 3 one-dimensional arrays. Okay, because each array is an object, no? So for one-dimensional array also one object is created. Inside that one-dimensional array is stored, and the length of that or size of that one-dimensional array is 2. This is 2, this is 2, this is 2. Okay. Now the addresses of these 3 one-dimensional arrays are stored inside this two-dimensional array. Okay, that's why this concept is nothing but this one. Now how do we know the length of this to this array, that is A dot length. So A dot length gives you 3. Means we can say 3 one-dimensional arrays are there. Next, how do we know the length of this each one-dimensional array? That is with A, because this address of this one-dimensional array is stored here, no? So with A of 0 dot length. Here also length variable is there, no? Inside each array object, length is an instance variable, okay? Now if you take A of 0 dot length, it will give you 2. Similarly, A of 1 dot length 2, A of 2 dot length 2, but A dot length is 3. Like that, we can access all the members of these 3 one-dimensional arrays. Okay, again I am explaining. A dot length gives you 3, but A of 0, okay, dot length gives you 2. Similarly, A of 1 dot length gives you 2. Like that, A of 2 dot length also 2. So like that, we can access the members of the 2-dimensional array. Now how to initialize? Again same 5 methods. Now I will explain one program on 2-dimensional array. You can easily understand on your own. So I have taken test array. Inside that I have written main method. See, I have created 2-dimensional array and I am using scanner class to take the input through keyboard. Okay. So scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. Next, initializing the array. Now I am initializing my 2-dimensional array with the scanner class. Okay. Now already you know in C language, no, for a 2-dimensional array, for reading and writing, you have to take 2 for loops. Okay. So the number of for loops is equal to the number of dimensions. Here I am taking 2-dimensional array, no, that's why take 2 for loops. So already explained this one. First for loop is for A dot length. So it is 3 for our example. Next, second for loop is for A of 0 for to take the size of each one-dimensional array. That's why A of 0 dot length. So A of 0 dot length gives you 2. A dot length gives you 3. So here 3, here 2. So these for loops will be repeated 6 times. By taking here 3, here 2. Why 6 times means here we have to assign 6 values inside each one-dimensional array. So I have to assign values, 2 values here, 2 values here, 2 values here. Okay. First, when the inner loop is executed first time, these 2 values are assigned. When the inner loop is executed second time, these 2 values are assigned. Here we have to assign the values in these 2 places. When the inner loop is repeated third time, these 2 values are assigned. Okay, or these 2 elements are assigned with values. Like that, we have to use 2 for loops to assign the values in each one-dimensional array. Next, how do we read? You know, no, we have taken integer array, no, that's why use next int method of scanner class. So I have to assign the values of. So what is this value? So how do we access this one? A of 0 dot length is 2 correct only. But how do I access this element is with A0, 0. Next, how do I access this element is A0, 1. Like that, these 2 elements are accessed. And now how do I access these 2 elements? Tell me. Then this is 1, no. The address of this object is stored in index 1, no. This is A of 1. So A of 1, 0 means this value. A of 1, 1 means this value. Like that, these 2, how do we access these 2 elements is A2, 1, A2, 0, this is A0, no? So A2, 0, next A2, 1. Like that, we can assign, we can initialize each one-dimensional array using 2 for loops. That's it. If you understand but it is totally different in Java. That's why try to understand. So that's why I have taken 2 for loops and I have assigned values. For first one is A0, 0. So A0, 0 is we have to give one value through keyboard. That value is assigned in the place A0, 0. Like that, 6 times these 2 for loops are repeated. Then we will assign 6 values inside each one-dimensional array. That's it. So this is important for reading the elements of 2-dimensional array. Okay. In the same way, how to display the values of two-dimensional array. There are 6 values now. Like that, again take the 2 for loops and using system.out.println aij. Okay, we can display the elements. Okay, these 6 elements are there, no? That's right. With these for loops again, we will display the elements. Okay, so this is the program on two-dimensional arrays. Okay, in the same way, if you replace buffered reader class, write the same program with buffered reader class with command line arguments, direct initialization, and what is the other one? Arrays. Okay. Okay, we can use 5 ways to initialize. Okay. Next one is jagged arrays. So what is the drawback of the previous two-dimensional arrays? We have fixed the size of each one-dimensional array now. So a two-dimensional array is an array of one-dimensional arrays. Okay, we have taken three one-dimensional arrays in the previous program, but we have given both the values now. So we have 3 one-dimensional arrays, and the size of each one-dimensional array is 2 in the previous program. But I don't want to fix the size of each one-dimensional array. I want to take them differently. But in the previous program, we can't do like that, because I have taken 3 here, I have taken 2 here. Means there are 3 one-dimensional arrays, and each one-dimensional array size is 2. That is fixed. But I don't want to take the same size for all my one-dimensional arrays. In that case, what I will do is, I will use jagged arrays. Means what is the advantage of jagged arrays is, in two-dimensional arrays, to declare the size of one-dimensional arrays differently, or the sizes are different, or we can declare the sizes of one-dimensional arrays differently, then we use jagged arrays. That's it. Now what I will do is, this is the syntax, same syntax only, but here don't mention the size of one-dimensional array. When you write like this, how do I take the different sizes for each of these one-dimensional arrays is using these 3 statements. Here we have to take 3 one-dimensional arrays now, like this. So how do I mention the sizes? How do I take this one? This is A of 0 now. So A of 0, this is at, let us take 200 address. This is A, inside A, 100 is stored. So A, this is 0. Okay, A of 0 gives you the address of this object. See, this is this index 0, 1, 2. So A of 0 will give you the address of this first one-dimensional array. So in the using this A of 0, I will take the size of that one-dimensional array. That is nothing but A of 0 is equal to new int 3. It means again one-dimensional array is created like this, and with size 3, and the address of this object is assigned to A of 0. Means if you take 200 here, 200 is assigned to A of 0. Okay, next. I want to take the second one-dimensional array size as 5. Then I will use this syntax, because the address of the second one-dimensional array is stored here now in A of 1. 0, 1, 2, A of 0, A of 1. So A of 1 holds the address of the second one-dimensional array. Then I will create one more one-dimensional array with this size, that is 5, and the address of that array is stored in A of 1. Like that, third one-dimensional array size is 2. Like that, we can use different sizes for one-dimensional array inside the two-dimensional array. Okay? This is nothing but jagged arrays. Next, if you understand two-dimensional arrays, in the same way, we can do three-dimensional arrays. What is three-dimensional array concept? So, three-dimensional array is an array of two-dimensional arrays. See, again I am repeating. Two-dimensional array is an array of one-dimensional arrays. Like that, three-dimensional array is an array of two-dimensional arrays. Already you know two-dimensional arrays. This two-dimensional array is nothing but, it is an array of one-dimensional arrays, no? Like that, I will define n-dimensional array. N-dimensional array is an array of n-1 dimensional arrays. Okay? Means here, if you take 3, here I am using 2, no? If you take n, then it is n-1. So an n-dimensional array is an array of n-1 dimensional arrays. Like that already we know two-dimensional arrays. With that I will explain three-dimensional array. So three-dimensional array, how to declare and create. This step is for both declaration and creation. So how do I declare and create a three-dimensional array is with this syntax. I explained. No? Three-dimensional means take three sets of square brackets. This is 1, 2, 3, and it is type int. We are discussing arrays of primitive types only. That's why this is the name of the array. That's why it is a reference variable which holds the address of the three-dimensional array. And new int, again here we have to give sizes now. How do I explain this one? First number is for number of two-dimensional arrays. Array of two-dimensional arrays, yes, is there here. So it is an array of two-dimensional arrays now. So inside this three-dimensional array we have three two-dimensional arrays. Okay, next this is for two-dimensional array. So here again we have inside two-dimensional array we have two one-dimensional arrays, and each one-dimensional array is of size 2. So you have to understand these three numbers. This is number of two-dimensional arrays, and this is number of one-dimensional arrays, and this is the size of each one-dimensional array. If you see the memory, then only you can clearly understand. So this is the memory. Understand the memory. Now here we have how many two-dimensional? So this is actually 2. This is 2. This is 1. How many two-dimensional? 3 two-dimensional. This entire part is three-dimensional array. Inside that we have 3 two-dimensional arrays. Okay. Next after that, this now 3 is first 3 is for how many two-dimensional arrays are there in your three-dimensional array. After that, this is two-dimensional. No? Two-dimensional is nothing but again how many one-dimensional arrays are there inside each of these 3 two-dimensional arrays. If you take how many one-dimensional, this is 1. Okay. How many one-dimensional? These 2 are for one-dimensional arrays. How many one-dimensional? 2 one-dimensional. If you take 2, this also 2. This is fixed. Next, what is the last one? Size of one-dimensional array. Here last level is nothing but size of one-dimensional array. If you take the size of this one-dimensional array, 2, 2, 2, 2 like this. So here we have 3 two-dimensional arrays and 3 one-dimensional arrays, and size of each one-dimensional array is size of not 2 one-dimensional arrays, and size of each one-dimensional array is 2. Understand? These 3 numbers are very, very important to understand the concept of three-dimensional arrays. See, again I am repeating. Three-dimensional array is nothing but an array of two-dimensional arrays. Okay. So how many two-dimensional arrays we can take inside the three-dimensional is 3. So it is 3. Here it is correct only. So here 3 two-dimensional arrays, correct. Next. Again, two-dimensional means it is an array of one-dimensional. How many one-dimensional arrays are there inside the two-dimensional array is 2. So there are 2 one-dimensional arrays. That is nothing but this. After that, this 2 is the size of each one-dimensional array. So here we have written three levels. 1, 2, 3. So if you understand, if you take the number of levels, the number of levels is equal to the number of dimensions. If you take 3 dimensions, we have to take 3 levels. If you take 4-dimensional array, we have to take 4 levels. Always, if you see in the last level, the actual array elements are stored. The last level. If you take 2-dimensional also, only 2 levels, no? In the last level, the actual array elements are stored. If you take 3-dimensional, in the last level, this is the last level, no? In the last level, the actual array elements are stored. In the previous levels, only addresses are stored. Means addresses of the objects are stored. So if you take 50 and 60, these are the addresses of these 2 objects. 70, 80 also addresses. These also addresses. If you take this also, this is the 20 is the address of this object. That's why only in the last level actual array elements are stored. If you take any dimensional array, and in the previous level only addresses of the objects are stored. This is the three-dimensional array concept in case of arrays of primitives. Here I have taken arrays of primitives, and with respect to arrays of primitives, I am explaining one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and three-dimensional array. Now, how do we write the program? Same. We will test. Here I am taking scanner class now. So I am creating the object for scanner class. That's why we need to import util package. So import java.util.star. This is must. Or in place of star, I can use scanner. The statement is must. If you won't write the statement inside in your program, definitely you will get compiler error. Okay. Whenever you use scanner class or buffer reader class, you need to write the corresponding import statement like this. Okay. Now here I am declaring and creating a three-dimensional array like this. Here, if you understand, there are 3 two-dimensional arrays, and inside two-dimensional array there are 4 one-dimensional arrays, and the size of each one-dimensional array is 5. Like that, we can extend for n-dimensional. Okay. Now I am taking scan. Next, this statement is for creation and or declaration and creation. No? After that, we have to initialize. No? How to initialize the array is there are 5 ways to initialize. I am using scanner class to initialize the array. Means I am taking the values through keyboard. Okay. Next, initializing the array. How many for loops should we take for initializing three-dimensional array? So we should take 3 for loops. But how do I access the values? Already explained, no? Understand the concept. So here length is a variable. Here also length is instance variable. Inside each object, length is an instance variable, no? And name of the three-dimensional array is A. So what is A dot length? Is it 3? Yes, that is the first for loop. Next, A dot length take inside the first for loop. Next, what I should know the size of this array. So how do I access this? This 20 is there in here, no? That's why this length is here, no? Length is 2. How do I access this length? Okay, that must be used inside the second for loop. How do I access this is A of 0 dot length. A of 0 means this, no? A of 0 holds the address of this object, no? So with A of 0, I can access the size of this array. That's why A dot length will give you 3 and A of 0 dot length will give you 2. Next, I want to access the size of this also in three-dimensional. That's why how do I access the size of this is A0. What is this one? 0, no? Inside this A00, I have the address of this, no? That's why A00 dot length will give you the size of this array, that is 2. Like that, we can write the 3 for loops. One is A dot length, second one is A of 0 dot length, third one is A00 dot length. So using 3 for loops, I will initialize the three-dimensional array. That's it. See, A of 0 dot length. Next, A of 00 dot length. Next, A dot length. Next, A of 0 dot length, A00 dot length. Okay. So it will give you the size of the three-dimensional array. Next, two-dimensional. Next, length of each one-dimensional. Like that, we can use 3 for loops. Okay. So after that, this statement is for initializing the three-dimensional array. Always at the last level only the values are stored. Next, how do I display the elements of the three-dimensional array? Is again 3 for loops. And I will use the statement system.out.println ijk. Okay. So this is the program on three-dimensional array. Next, how do we write in one step in whether it is two-dimensional or three-dimensional? Means declaration, creation and initialization is this one. So already explained, no? This is the syntax for two-dimensional array. Already you know two-dimensional array is nothing but an array of two-dimensional arrays, no? Array means simply write set notation. So this outer flower brackets are for two-dimensional. This entire thing is two-dimensional. Inside that, how many one-dimensional arrays are there? 3. So it is a two-dimensional array, okay, which holds 3 one-dimensional arrays, and first one-dimensional array size is 3, second is 3, third is 2, like jagged arrays. Okay. Similarly, 3-dimensional array. 3-dimensional array is an array of 2-dimensional arrays. No, these outer flower brackets are for 3-dimensional array. Means we have only one 3-dimensional array. Inside that, we have to put 2-dimensional arrays. No, inside this 3-dimensional array, I have kept two 2-dimensional arrays. See, these brackets are for 2-dimensional array. This is one 2-dimensional. This is also one 2-dimensional. Means this is a 3-dimensional array which consists of two 2-dimensional arrays, and inside that 2-dimensional array, it is an array of 1-dimensional arrays. Like that I can write. Okay. This is the direct way. Direct means declaration, creation, and initialization are in the same step. Next, there is another type of array, no, that is array of object references. So with that, arrays of primitives are completed. Now this is very, very important in Java. This is the new concept which is not there in C language, because in Java language is an object-oriented programming language. No? That's why we have to discuss with the classes and objects only. Now that's why arrays are created for object references. So try to understand this concept, very, very important. Explain arrays of object references means take one class, and while creating the object for that class, use array concept. Like array of integers, array of floats. Like that we can write array of object references. Means array of objects. Simply if you want to talk, array of integers, array of floats, array of characters, like that array of objects. Already you know how to define class and object, no? So when you define a class, you must create objects for that class, no? So what is the purpose of creating object for that class is to access the members of that class, we have to use objects only. There is no other way. That's why class and object both are very, very important in any object-oriented programming language, not only in Java. If you take Python also, same concept. Now I will explain how do we create an array of object references. Okay, this is important. Now the syntax for creating array of object references is class name. Okay, this is like one-dimensional array. Where this is the array variable name. New class name. You know this here you must mention the size of the array. Same syntax like int. In place of int I am using here. Here what I am using class name. Already we have created integer arrays, floating point arrays, no? Character arrays, boolean arrays, like for primitive data types, no? Like that we can create array for objects. How do we create array for objects is class name. Next, this is one-dimensional array variable name, new class name. This is the size of the array. Here we must mention the size, but here don't mention the size. These two are important. Now I will explain without using arrays what we have to write. How do we create objects for a class? This is here I will explain two programs. One program is how do we create objects for a class without using arrays. Next I will take the same program and I will use arrays to create the objects, or while creating the objects I will use arrays. Same program I will modify. Then you can understand more clearly what is the advantage of using arrays for objects. Okay. Now here already this is known. We know all these. Okay. Now the name of the class is student, because it is a user defined class. You can give any name. So class name is student. Inside that the instance variables are roll number and marks. Already explained why these are called instance variables is they are defined inside the class, and outside the method or constructor or block. That's why here in this class student I have two instance variables, roll number and marks, and inside each object only instance variables are stored. We have another type of variables, they are called static variables. Here there are no static variables. Static variables are stored separately inside separate memory. Now here these two are called instance variable, that is roll number and marks. After that I have written two constructors to initialize the objects. You know constructors, no? This is user defined no arg constructor, and this is user defined parameterized constructor. In this program we can write for constructor overloading also. What is constructor overloading? Two or more constructors are there in the same class, then that is called constructor overloading. Here I am using two constructors. One is user defined NOR constructor and another one is user defined parameterized constructor. Here NOR, here parameterized. Constructors do not have return type. See, if you take this constructor, no return type, no return type. So these constructors are used to initialize the instance variables of the object. Already explained how many instance variables are there? Two, roll number and marks. That's why here I have two instance variables and I am initializing those two instance variables inside this constructor and inside the second parameterized constructor. Already you know this syntax, no need to explain now. Now after that I have written one more method display to display the roll number and marks of the student. Next, after that, here I am using only one class. Inside that same class, I am taking main method. Inside the main method, I am creating the objects for student class. So inside the main method, here I have created 60 objects for the same class student. So how do I create the objects? Because if you take your section, ECE section, in your class, if you have 60 students, then you must create 60 objects now. One object for each student now. Like that, I am creating 60 objects, one object for each student of your class. So here, you know the syntax for object creation now. So here, whenever the statement is getting executed, already explained repeatedly, the one constructor must be executed. Whether it is compiler generated constructor or user defined NOR constructor or user defined parameterized constructor. If the programmer has written the user defined NOR constructor, then that must be invoked or that will be invoked. Okay. Now this when this statement is executed, the control goes to what is this constructor? Student NOR. No? Already the programmer has written the user defined NOR constructor. That's why this will be executed when the first statement is executed. Okay. Next, that's why first object is created. That is the S1 and one object is created inside the memory. Let us take 100. 100 is stored in S1 and inside that object roll number and marks are stored. Now here this first user defined NOR construct is executed now and roll number and marks of that object are assigned with these two values. What are the values? 1 and 90.3. So inside the first object, okay, roll number is assigned 1 and marks are assigned 90.3. That is first object and the name of the first object is S1, means the address of the first object is stored in S1. Similarly, when the statement is executed, again the JVM will execute the matching parameterized constructor, means the matching parameterized constructor for this is this one. Now roll number is 2 and marks is 90.0, F we should write. So 2 is stored in roll number and 90.0 is stored in marks. After that, this refers to the current class object. No, means this when this is executed, the current class object is S2. That's why inside S2, roll number is assigned 2 and marks are assigned 90.0. Like that, I have created 60 objects, one for each student inside the memory, and the corresponding values are assigned for roll number and marks inside each object. So after that, I am invoking display function to display all the 60 students details. But what is that? This is correct program only, nothing is wrong in this one. But what is the drawback is, here I am using 60 different reference variables, S1, S2, S3, like that. I have to use 60 reference variables. So instead of writing 60 variables, and one more drawback is all these memory is allocated for all these reference variables in different locations. That is the one more drawback. We have to use 60 different variables and the memory is allocated for all these 60 reference variables in different memory locations. So to avoid that, I use arrays. How do I use arrays is same concept. Means the same constructors and all I will take in the same program. This is the actual program for writing, okay, explain array of object references, means you write this program. So at least try to understand, try to write one program on array of primitives and one program on array of objects or array of object references. Array of objects also correct. Okay, array of primitives, array of objects. This is the program on array of objects. It is easy only. Same class I am taking. So class student, int, roll number and marks. These two are instance variables and these are stored inside each and every object of this class. Next, this is the NOR constructor. Same as previous program, I have taken the same NOR constructor and same parameterized constructor. Okay, two constructors same. Here in place here, write the same. One is user defined NOR and another one is user defined parameterized. After that, in the same class, I am writing my main method. Now try to understand this one. This is the important thing to remember in case of array of objects. Okay. Now inside the same student class, I am taking main method. So inside the main method, I should create objects for student class now. So how many objects should I create here? 60 objects. I am creating objects for your class. That's why I need to create 60 objects. Okay, now how do I create the 60 objects? Is in the previous program, I have taken 60 different variables, S1, S2, S3 like that, S60. But here I am using arrays to create 60 objects. So this is the syntax for array of objects, no? Yeah, I am creating array of objects for student class, no? That's why class name student, this is one dimensional, S name of the array, new student, here I should mention the size, same syntax. Class name and this is square brackets and name of the array, that is just new student 60. So this is nothing but the declaration and creation of array of objects. This here array is created for the student class. Okay. Previously arrays are created for primitive data types. Now arrays are created for classes also, correct. Okay. If you create array for a class, then that is nothing but array of objects. Class means object only. This is object. This how do we create an array for student class to hold 60 objects? Is this syntax. This is the declaration and creation. So student S is equal to new student 60 means I will explain the memory part. So inside this the means array object is created, same concept. Inside that, how many size of the array is 60, no? That's why 60. Okay, here the array index starts from 0 to 59. So the size of this array is 60, no? That's why 0 to 59. And here one more important point to remember is, whenever you execute this statement, so if this array object is created and the size of this array is 60 and the address of this array is stored in the reference variable S. Okay, up to this okay. But coming to the array elements, in the previous case, that is when it is array of primitives, default values are stored based on the data type. If it is int 0, if it is in float 0.0, if it is boolean false, like that, default values are stored inside, okay, yeah, as array elements by the compiler. But here this is class, no? That's why here null means we have to, inside this array we have to store objects, no? This concept is nothing but array of objects. Means this that the array element is nothing but the address of the object, real time object, here it is. Okay. So here if you take S of 0, this how do I access this one? S of 0, no? Means S of 0 holds the address of the object, no? Like address of the object. S of 59 holds the address of the object. Here the array elements are holding the addresses of the objects. Okay. That's why here S of 0, S of 1, S of 2, so on, S of 59 are called reference variables, which holds the addresses of the objects. That's why here the default value for any reference variable is null. That's why here null is stored. Okay, here null is stored. Null means what is it? The default value of the reference variable. Here S of 0, S of 1, S of 2, so on, S of 59 are called reference variables. That's why null is stored. After that, how do we initialize? Initialization is nothing but same. We have to invoke any one of the two constructors. If you want to invoke the default, not default, if you want to invoke the user-defined NOR constructor, write like this. If you want to invoke the user-defined parameterized constructor, write like this. But here I have to store the address of the object now. That's why I will access this using s of 0. So s of 0 is equal to new student of this parenthesis means new student of this means one object is created inside the memory and object is having address, let us take 200, and at the time of this this statement execution compulsory this constructor is executed, which will assign same 1 and 90.3 means this no arg constructor is executed and roll number and marks are assigned with 1 and 90.3. So new student is nothing but student class object means memory is created like this and which holds the instance variables because it is a student class object. So inside student class object only instance variables of that class will be stored. So inside student class I have two instance variables, they are roll number and marks. That's why one object is created and roll number and marks are stored and these are assigned using this NORG constructor. That's why 1 and 90.3 and let us take the address of this is 200 and s of 0 holds 200. Next like that s of 1. Inside s of 1 also I have to put one student class object. That is this statement. S of 1 is equal to new student. Here I am invoking the parameterized constructor which will assign these two values for roll number and marks inside the second object. Here also when you write the notes here draw one more object and roll number is 2 and marks is equal to 93 and the address of the object is 300 and a of 1 holds or not a of 1, s of 1 holds 300. That's why s of 1 is equal to this means the address of this object is assigned to s of 1. Let us take 300. In the same way I will initialize the remaining, that is s of 2. S of 2 means I am creating one more student object and the address of that student object is assigned to s of 2 and the instance variables of that object, that is roll number and marks, are assigned with 3 and 98.5. Like that here we are creating 60 objects and the addresses of these 60 objects are stored in the locations s of 0, s of 1, s of 2 and s of 59. That's why here s of 0 to s of 59 are called reference variables. So this part is nothing but array of objects. So how do we declare, create and initialize array of objects means this part. This statement is for declaration and creation. Here write creation also. This statement is for declaration and creation and these are for initializing the array of objects. So understand this. Like that if you take box class, if you want to create 100 boxes for the 100 objects for the same box class, try to use array of objects concept. Box same s is equal to new box, here write 100. So after that s of 0, s of 1 to s of 99. Suppose if you want to create array of objects for employee class, first write employee class with instance variables. After that inside the main method create array of objects for employee class. In that case employee s is equal to new employee. If you want to create 200, here write 200. After that initialize each and every, that is s of 0, s of 1 with the objects of that class. Like that we can use arrays concept in case of classes also. Not only for primitive data types, we can use arrays for classes also. So here class concept and object concept both are very, very important in Java. That's why this program is very, very important. Whenever we have more number of objects or whenever you want to create more number of objects, don't write the program in the first way. Means don't take S1, S2, S3 like that 60. If you have more number of objects, okay, then always go for array of objects using this. Okay. Suppose if you have only 3 or 4 objects you want to create, in that case you take no need to take array, direct that is first program I have written without arrays now. In that case create 4 objects independently, no need to use array concept. S1, S2, S3, S4. 4 means okay. But if you have a large number of objects to be created, then if you create without arrays, that is not correct. Okay, always use arrays if you have more number of objects. Okay. Next, one more important point is, if you take array concept, here see all the addresses are stored in the consecutive memory locations. But if you use if you write the same program without arrays, so one S of 0 means S1 of the memory, S1 memory is created here in one place, S2 separate place, S3 separate place, and the memories are allocated in different locations for all the 60 reference variables. But if you take array of objects, all the memory is allocated in consecutive locations for all the 60 reference variables. Okay, so like that we can write the program using array of objects. So try to practice array of objects, very important. After that, so here 60 objects are created. Here this is one object, 2, like that 60 objects are created, and all the 60 objects addresses are stored inside S of 0, S of 1, S of 2, like that, S of 59. But all the 60 objects are having different values for roll number and marks. If you invoke parameterized constructor, you can give the values differently for different objects for roll number and marks. See, all are different. Okay, so you can use parameterized constructor to give different values to different objects. And after that, if you want to display the 60 students details after assigning, then how do we display? You can use for loop. So int I is equal to 0, I less than, this is s dot length. What is s dot length? S points to this object. Now here length is an instance variable, no, which holds 50. Inside each array, length is an instance variable which holds the size of the array. So here length is there with 60. So how do I access this length variable of this object is using s. So s dot length is 60. So I want to display all the objects information using this for loop. That's why int I is equal to 0, I less than s dot length here. This is not display. Okay, strike off this and write length. So s dot length is 60, no? That's why 0 to 59. This is 0, this is less than 60 means 59 only, no? So I will take 0 to 59. So system dot out dot println s of I dot roll number, s of I dot marks. What is the first value of I? 0. So s of 0 dot roll number, s of 0 dot marks I will print. Means I am printing the first object information using s of 0. S of 0 dot roll number is this one. S of 0 dot marks is this one. This is s of 0 which holds the address of the first object. So with s of 0 I can access the members of this first object, that is roll number and marks. So with this arrays are completed. Okay, so I have completed arrays of primitives and arrays of object references. So with this arrays in Java completed. Next class I will start packages.